So in self-improvement, there are a lot of basic concepts and principles we can agree are good for us and we should strive for. I've actually got a lot of them on the list here, and I'm just going to belt them out to you. And the first one is delayed gratification. I think we can all agree delayed gratification is good for you. You want to, sacrifice in the current so you can reap the rewards in the future. And another one is that you want to have close, like-minded friends. It's just very good to have people pushing you on, and I think that's a general thing. Honestly, I think in life in general, we are social. We're social creatures as human beings. We need to have those like-minded friends. We need to have that wolf pack, especially as guys nowadays. We're all isolated, and I remember something Kevin Samuel said, where he said the number one problem with young men nowadays is that you try to do it alone, and I think for people that have been on self-improvement for long enough, I'm sure you've realized that it's pretty good to have like-minded friends and not be with friends who are being degenerate and pushing you away and pushing you towards the things that you don't want for your life. I think it's important to have like-minded friends. I think we can all agree on that one. And then we can all agree that degeneracy and sleeping around is bad for you. It's bad for your mental health. It's bad for you. It's bad for her. It's just all around terrible. I think we can all agree that that's not the kind of lifestyle we're looking for. I find it it's repulsive and disgusting. I think we can all agree on that one. And then degenerate music, I think it's something, I don't know if you guys have realized. I remember Hamza spoke about it a while ago and I agreed with it. I was like, degenerate music, it degenerates your brain. Right? We talk about how we live in a hypersexual society. It's difficult for guys to get off of porn and everything. And it's like, okay, yeah, it's bad enough. The actual websites are bad. Instagram, TikTok, they're really bad. But music, guys, music is it's very influential. Music, it literally changes the way you think. And when you're listening to rap and pop and they're all singing about sex and degenerate stuff, it does mess up your brain. I think, I'm not saying you have to be oh, right now I'm going to quit it or whatever it is. It's difficult to quit. It's been difficult for me to quit as well. But I think we can acknowledge at least that it's terrible. It's terrible for your brain. I think that's something we can agree on. And then the fact that gratitude makes you happier. If you didn't know this, they've done lots of studies and everything. And I think even in the Science of Wellbeing course, which is it's a free course, you can go search it up. It's called the Science of Wellbeing. Just search that one. So it's a free course on becoming happier basically. And one of the things they said is that being grateful, just thinking about things you're grateful for, actually physically makes you happier. If you do that regularly, right? It was actually one of the reasons I started journaling. I was like, okay, I'll just in my journal write 3 things I'm grateful for every day. I've stopped. I haven't done that in a long time. I probably should start doing it, but again, we can agree that it shows that all the studies show that gratitude does make you happier. And then drinking, sloth, and gluttony are bad for us. Right? Obviously, drinking and being drunk is terrible for you. Laziness, again, if you're lazy, you're not going to get anywhere in life. And then eat being gluttonous, you're eating all these crappy food and everything. I know a lot of us we don't do that because we want to have a good body, but even just for your own mental health, if you want to be productive, it's terrible to eat all that crappy food. It's also bad for your skin. It makes you look uglier. It's just terrible. We can all agree it's terrible, right? And also the sleeping around before marriage thing. If you didn't know about this, okay, I don't say very anti-red pill, but I'm anti-red pill. I think red pill is feminism for men. They're both just terrible, right? So the whole sleeping around thing, I'm sure, like I told you, I think it's very degenerate and disgusting. But they've done studies as well. They've seen that the more, again, this one was mainly about women, but I'm sure it also applies to men in general, right? The more partners you have, or the more sexual partners you have before marriage, the higher chance you have of that marriage failing. And the highest was, if you're as the Bible says, right? You both virgins before marriage. I think that rate, you have a 75% chance of having a successful marriage. And then you have one partner, it drops. You have 2 partners, it drops, it keeps dropping. The stats show all of that. So I think those of us that have come around and have thought about it properly, we can agree that, yeah, sleeping around before marriage is bad. It's terrible, right? And you just all those things are listed, right? The delayed gratification, having like-minded friends, not being degenerate and sleeping around, not listening to degenerate music, being grateful, not drinking, not being lazy, and not being gluttonous, and not sleeping around before marriage. Those are all concepts that are in the Bible. They're all there, and it's just insane. I'll go on to the next one before I come back to what I was going to speak about. And if you've gotten deeper into self-improvement and you've read things mainly 48 Laws of Power and How to Win Friends and Influence People. There are a lot of like similar concepts there, and also if you've read like The Art of Seduction and just general psychology books on like dealing with people and like being successful in interactions with people, there are a lot of like similar concepts. And one of the main things is like not being quick to just spout out your opinion, right? Like you don't want to just like speak about yourself all the time. In fact, like the number one takeaway you can get from How to Win Friends and Influence People is, if you want to make friends, ask them about themselves, and just let them talk and be a good listener. That's it. That's how to win friends and influence people, right? That's there. In 48 Laws of Power, you can imagine there's a very similar thing. Don't speak too much, and sure as hell don't speak about yourself. Like it's generally just not a good thing, like just randomly going on about yourself. Put your attention on the other person, really pay attention to them, really like listen to what they're saying, pay attention to their body language, and pay attention to like what they want like in their life, right? Like, so it's like, if it's like how to win friends and influence people, if you want to apply that to like make friends, it's, oh, this person likes to do this sort of thing, maybe you speak more with them about that topic and you build better rapport. If it's art of seduction, again, some of these can be manipulative, but they can also just be general advice for just having good interaction with people. Like, okay, art of seduction, like you listen to like what the other person is like missing in their life and you provide that for them, and that's how people seduce other people. And then 48 Laws of Power, again, if you're having a confrontation with your enemy, or it's not usually going to be like a face-to-face confrontation, but like in the workplace, like, which is where mainly 48 Laws of Power applies. It's like, if you're like with someone that you want to have like power over, whatever it is, when you talk, you give away your power. Like when you talk about yourself, you give away your power, right? But when someone else speaks, they're giving away their power, right? So it's kind of just like, you listen, you talk to them, you listen, and they give off information, and you learn. You learn so much just by sitting and observing, asking probing questions, and they give you information, basically. That's one of the things, like, you just don't speak about yourself, you listen to people. That's something you should be doing. And you also learn about like the importance of wisdom. I know, like in 48 Laws of Power, just being like wise again. There are lots of things. Like 48 Laws of Power is a massive book. I've been listening to the audiobook. I'm only at like law 26, and I've been writing down notes and stuff. It's a big book. There's so many things, but it's important to be wise. I think we can all agree on that. And I think when I take down the list I told you earlier about like what we can agree on in self-improvement, and then also like when you look at like psychology books like 48 Laws of Power, How to Win Friends and Influence People, The Art of Seduction, and all of that, all these concepts are they're in the Bible. It's like, it's so interesting how I was having this conversation with my friends actually sometime last year, and we were saying that like all these concepts, delayed gratification, stop sleeping around, work hard, and everything, like be wise, like, and I said with the books, listen to people rather than just like spouting off your opinion and everything. It's like, they're all in the Bible, bro. They're all there. They're all like, the Proverbs has got so much, bro. The Bible's got everything. And it's like, we've gone full circle. We've gone away from like the Bible, and then we've gone to this degenerate world, and we've decided, well, the awake of us, those of us that are awake, we've decided we don't want this degenerate lifestyle. It's depressing, and it makes you, and it's a crappy life. So we're like, oh, let's go into self-improvement. And then all the concepts we're learning on self-improvement, all there in the Bible. And it's like, that's why it just is the ultimate self-improvement book. And actually, I want to speak about this story where I was in high school. I remember I had a friend who was arguing. He was a Christian friend. He was arguing with an atheist, and he basically said something along the lines of, if I'm wrong as a Christian, like, I've wasted my life, but if you're wrong, you've wasted your eternity. And I know that's not like an argument. There are way better arguments of why atheism is stupid, but that like line when he was saying that, I don't think you've wasted your life actually. Like, if you are a Christian, even if you're wrong, I don't think you would have wasted your life, because I'm just trying to think of like the life I want to live, right? So if I like having one life, or having one wife that I build like my family with, right? I have a group of like close like-minded friends who I go through life with, working hard like to be financially free and have like a good life that I enjoy, right? I have financial freedom, having a good mindset, eating well, like reading and learning, like, just constantly like bettering yourself, staying active, being competitive, and just being like the best man I can be. Like, for me, that's a life well lived, regardless of whether or not I'm right about God. Like, so I've not wasted my life. And it's like, for me, that's where it becomes a no-brainer. I mean, going like on a bit of a side tangent, like, I've thought about it. Like, atheism, I think, is absolutely stupid. There definitely is a God, but like, even if there wasn't, like I said, the Bible's just the ultimate self-improvement book. Everything you're learning about self-improvement is right there in the Bible. It just is, right? It is, and if you follow that and you will live a good life. You will at the end of your life and on your deathbed. Damn, I can't speak. when you're on your deathbed, right? And you've done, like, I've just listed you everything I said, like it's a life well lived. Having the family, having like the close like-minded friends. You're eating while you're learning. You're being competitive, and you're being present in your life. Like, for me, that's a life well lived. So, to like what my friend was saying, where he was saying, oh, if I'm wrong, I've wasted my life, but if you're wrong, you've wasted your eternity. I'm like, bro, even if I'm wrong, I still haven't wasted my life. That's a life well lived. And I think that's why I say, like, the Bible is the ultimate self-improvement book. But, like, yeah, like, you guys let me know what you think in the comment section, and make sure you subscribe to join the self-improvement brotherhood. Until next time, see you boys.